once who lived in a tower, who impressed me with her view. She took me up to show me what her money could buy, and see exactly what I would do. At night when she came home, she made the room very dark, and sat there watching the sunset and all the city lights. I was impressed by this ancient ritual to give her all my heart. We drank a bottle of wine, and then we sat in the dark. Then later that night, she slowly undressed in a silk negligee. Well, she purred like a cat.
Songwriting started, I think, from listening to the cello parts on string music that I'd been writing. The cello parts became, to me, like my voice in the string music. So more and more I was singing the cello parts, and then more and more that turned into me singing, then taking poetry that I'd been writing for years and turning that into songs. I don't think I really know where they come from, but I do know that I could be walking down the street, and maybe I'm just enjoying walking down the street and I'm going to catch a train, and so the images of what I see, maybe a train or people or trees, might start to trigger something where I'm thinking some line about trains or trees or whatever can come from things that I see. It can also come other ways. People can say things in a conversation. So someone will say a phrase that's really interesting, a really interesting phrase. So it can roll from that. Or often I think it also comes from things that I'm reading, like a book I might be reading really triggers something. I remember once reading a book about Zen tradition, I think it was, and the idea of the precious moment or the present moment triggered a whole thing about being present. So I wrote a song about that. I think the earliest memories I had of loving music was actually watching my mum and dad dance around like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers to big band music, like the music of Glenn Miller or Tommy Dorsey. As I was growing up, I thought this music makes people really happy and makes them want to move. So I think that's my first memories of really enjoying music. Growing up in Adelaide was a very interesting experience for me, particularly because in a way you felt sort of disconnected from a lot of things. This was a period after the Second World War. Mum and Dad got a house in a suburb called Enfield, which is a pretty ordinary suburb of Enfield. What was unique about where we lived, it was across the road there was this huge paddock. So a lot of my childhood was connected to growing up opposite this big, wide, broad space. As I've got older, I've really thought about where do I come from? Where do my ancestors come from? And my mum's name was Lloyd, and my name too being Lloyd. I did a bit of research and found out my ancestors come from Llangollen in North Wales. So after reading Dylan Thomas poetry, I got connected to this idea of a poem called Every Day My Ancestors Call Me Home. This is based on a villanelle structure, which is an old Italian poetic form, but it's found in lots of poetry. Every day my ancestors call me home to a place I've never seen. From where I sit, it's an unanswered cone. Taking this trip will strip me to the bone, change my life I'll know I've been. Every day my ancestors call me home. Listening from inside my dome, the voices all say, packed very lean. From where I sit, it's an unanswered koan. All my skills I'll have to hone. The time is right, I'll know I'm keen. Every day my ancestors call me home. It's taken years to be in this zone. Can this be the place where I belong? From where I sit, it's an unanswered koan. I feel I'll finally write my tome in this land I've never been. Every day my ancestors call me home. From where I sit, it's an unanswered koan.
There's blood in my heart from my time in the sun. Played in your city, now it's all come undone. Autumn has passed into cold winter rain. My body's grown weak, there's lead in my vein. Where are my friends? All come and gone. The heart gets weary before it's all done. Fought the good fight for the rights of my muse. My daily reportage sounds like bad news. Bird needs to fly close to the sun. Circles and circles for when its day comes. You can't wait in the wings forever. Wind on your face starts to sting.
When I first met Robert in the Blue Mountains a few years ago, I'm a singer-songwriter, and then I was amazed that he had this wealth of knowledge and experience as a composer, nationally and internationally. He took me to a concert in Sydney at the Sydney Conservatorium of, I think it was called Boo Band Music. It's an Indonesian percussion group called Karak Percussion, and they had this incredible physicality and of rhythmic percussion from Indonesian drum patterns, and so I was just transported into this completely different world.
I think the relationship between drumming and dance, that's the core of it. If you look at films of African ritual or Balinese ritual or Indian ritual, there's always a really clear relationship between a drumming rhythm and movement. And I think that was the connection. And I had been started my career as a drummer, so that eventually wove its way into writing percussion music. So there'd be music for electric keyboards, vibraphones, marimbas, glockenspiels, drums. All of that connected to the idea of rhythmic movement, and from that rhythmic movement you could see dance growing out of that. So I think clearly that's the connection of having. And when you play drums, and if you're playing live, one of the great thrills of it is actually, if you're say playing in a rock band or any kind of dance band, is actually watching the audience and actually watching people dance while you're playing, because it's almost like a physical manifestation of this is working. Whatever we're doing, this is working, because people are moving and having a great time and connecting to it. So I think that's how the idea of working with dance started. Living and working in New York came about because I was living in Adelaide, and I remember I was in a magazine shop and I was reading an interview with the American choreographer Melissa Fenley, and I read this interview just in the shop in a dance magazine, and as I was reading this interview with her, I got the idea that if I substituted the word dance when she mentioned it with my word music, that she was talking about her choreography in the same way that I'd talk about my composing. People who were working in new dance, which was what it was called at the time, and there was a big and interesting scene there, and it was also, there was a strong visual art world there too. Gillian Schnabel and people like that were making films and doing a lot of paintings, installations downtown New York. It was just a wonderful time to be there and to be making work and be seen as an Australian representative of new music in New York, and connect to those people and make some wonderful connections, which are still, alive for me today.